Hello there. Greetings and salutations. Tomorrow is going to be the 1st of December, and it's going to be a cold winter. This has been the coldest summer that I could ever remember. Like, extremely few hot days, which is really odd for Kentucky, actually, because this is technically the South. The one thing that actually should be on this list, a lot of people had requested me to make a video about food to have for long-term storage. And some people point out, they say, well, oh, that's a lot of carbs. You know, like if someone is marooned on a deserted island and they want food and they got a choice between like ugly little crabs scurrying around on the beach and like coconuts, and if it's like, well, I can't eat that. That's high in cholesterol. It's like, well, who cares? This is not meant to be the finer foods to have perfect equilibrium in your body. Like, you know, if things go south, you're going to worry about having that special vegan chef salad that you normally order. It's about survival. So I kind of find that odd that people say, I can't believe you recommend Mountain House foods. It's like, why? Because there's a lot of carbs in a lot of the meals? Like, well, yeah. We're talking about stuff for survival. Anyway, I have between here and my cabin is in the deepest, deepest, deepest woods imaginable. Doesn't even have cell phone service. Is this stuff. Now, there's MREs, which absolutely suck. And a box of MREs actually doesn't cost a whole lot less than these do. This is, what's an MRE by comparison? MRE would be, when I was really young and dirt poor, which I still am dirt poor actually, it's called Underwood. It looked like cat food. When you opened up the can, you went, and you plopped it out. So this is demonic looking evil stuff. That would be what like an MRE is compared to this. Like, so it'd be Underwood canned cat food meant for humans, which is basically what it is, versus, I don't know, like the best canned spaghetti sauce and canned soup that money can buy. You know, those $6 a can sort of soup. Anyway, these are those. By the way, Special Forces and other elite forces, they actually eat these. They don't take MREs. MREs are garbage. Every one of these, as long as it's been made recently, right here it says, right here in the back, I know you can't read it, it says best before March of 2051. Okay, 2050. All new Mountain House meals, and I've tried basically every Mountain House meal, are good for 30 years. These will last longer than I do. Most of them are 2 serving pouches. A typical, depends on the meal. You can get them on Amazon.com. Most of the meals average, for some reason they decided to pack 6 per box, okay? You stack 6 of these in a box. Average between $55 to $65. The average is about 52 bucks. Like I said, it depends on the meal. My favorite is biscuits and gravy. Lasagna with meat sauce is absolutely incredible. Breakfast skillet is great. Chicken Alfredo, really great. Spaghetti with meatballs is incredible. Anyway, you basically add boiling water to this. You stir it a little bit. You seal it back up again. You open up again after X number of minutes, you stir it again, and you seal it up again for a few more minutes. There's also, too, a neat thing to make for these. It's called Reflectix, I believe. I have rolls and rolls of it. It's basically like bubble wrap coated in Mylar on either side. You can get it at Lowe's or Home Depot. You make a pouch out of that. That way when you pour the hot water in this, it seals the heat in so that it cooks better. You know, say you're out in the extreme cold, you know, that the heat from that boiling water that you pour in here is going to dissipate out faster. These are really incredible. Like I said, they're good. This is the only food that I know of where people will like have it for 10 years and they'll sell it on eBay and it still sells just fine. It's like, yeah, this is from 10 years ago, but it's still got 20 years left on it. So, Mountain House, yeah? Mountain House. I told one guy about Mountain House meals and he was so amazed by them that he became a dealer of Mountain House meals. I don't get any compensation from Mountain House, by the way. Even though I don't drink anything, there are certain things that are valuable as money, and I don't mean gold and silver. You know, in a poop hits the fan situation, it was like gold and silver. It's like, no, there's a lot of things above gold and silver. One is clean water, which is water filtration. Talked about water filtration endlessly if you don't have a good water filter. The best, cheapest is the Katadyn Hiker. Yeah, it's like $60. Next best, and that's for single personal use. Katadyn Pocket Filter, which is Swiss-made ceramic filter. It's absolutely incredible. There's Berkey water filters and other filters for like your family, which are larger and far less portable. So clean water. Water is everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. The point is clean water. Yeah? And so you have to have water filtration. I see people just so ignorant. They'll buy tons and tons of this water that's sitting in plastic, and they'll store it in their basement, and it's sitting in plastic for years and years. And it's just gross. You know, you take your water with you, but you don't have to take the water, you take the water filter. The only people that really need to be hoarding water are like people who live in the desert that don't have really any good access to any water at all. It's just nowhere to be found. Everywhere else where, you know, there's a stream somewhere, you know, you're within spitting distance of a stream, you need water filtration. I recently got a dehydrator. I've got like 8 jars of these. These just came out of the freezer. I got a bunch more. These are banana chips. Also, too, been dehydrating kiwi chips. I'm starting to make jerky. Doing a lot of dehydration. I have a lot of jars. However, jars are tough to come by now. Ziplocs, and of course, keep these in the freezer. I know these are not going to keep forever, but they'll keep at least a year or two. There's some special oxygen packets you could actually stick in these that cause them to last longer, where they displace the oxygen inside of the jars, so dehydration. Dried beans, even though I'm completely against Walmart, at Sam's Club, they have these 50-pound, or I think they're 50 pounds, something like that. I have a couple in the basement. Dried beans, of course, you need special storage considerations so that mice and other critters, I would say creatures, don't get to them, like the large Tupperware things that sit about yay big, about that wide. You know, they're $10. You get them at Lowe's or Home Depot to store them in, so you don't want anything getting to them, especially mice nibbling on them and all sorts of horrific things that could happen to them. Also, to be sealed against humidity, depending on the climate we're at, obviously. So, even though I don't drink, there's a gazillion. The two most important things to have, which are, one of them, of course, is not really food. But that have incredible bartering capabilities. You can barter with it like money, and that's vodka. Type in, do a Google search, type in uses for vodka. It'll be like 101 things you do with vodka, 200 things you do with vodka. You know, you can use it to clean things with, use it as a trading material. Like, yeah, I'll trade you 5 cans of Beanie Weenies or whatever. Not that I would want Beanie Weenies, you know, for this bottle of vodka. At Costco, they actually have 1.75 liters of vodka. They're like $11. That's a lot. Vodka has countless uses. I don't drink. I've only been drunk like 3 or 4 times in college, but I do have several cases of vodka stored away because it has endless uses. And it itself, you know, even though I'm remiss to admit the bleeding obvious, is that vodka is a trading material. I mean, every person out there that actually you know, puts food away for emergencies or the SHTF, they've got vodka. Because, like, do you drink? Why do you got so much vodka stacked up in the corner? Well, it does about 100 different things, and it itself is money, a trading material. There are other things, actually, that I'd like to mention that are trading material, that are made out of brass, lead, and copper, but I'm remiss to mention those on social media. That's actually the number one thing that's a trading material. It's made out of metal. And it itself is used for getting food, and also, too, repelling borders and protecting what you have. That goes without saying. You know, do I need to state the obvious? There are things that people will admit to, and there are things that are just bleeping obvious that people don't want to admit to. It's kind of like people don't like going to a graveyard because it reminds them of the fact that they're not going to live forever, you know, and everything is temporal in this existential world. But, I mean, it's a fact. You have to deal with it, or you don't deal with it. You can stick your head in the sand like an ostrich, and I know an ostrich doesn't actually do that, but people don't want to admit the truth. Powdered milk. Once again, proper storage. Humidity is a serious concern with your powdered milk. I have a lot of powdered milk. Bottled water, big no-no. Just stupid. It's good to have some bottled water. What's more important are actually have these blue jugs. They're about yay big, $20. They also, too, have a screwable cap, and it reverses to a spigot. Oh, my God, I've probably got 20 of those things between here and my cabin. If you could afford it, you know, a place to escape to in the deep woods. The point is At the very minimum, you should have 3 months worth of food per person, 6 months of food ideally. The reason why you'd want 6 months ideally, say anything hits and there's, it comes down, that you have enough to last you until you could reach some land or some remote location that you could grow your own food, which I have a farm and I have a cabin in the deep woods. Really important thing that almost none of these silly, and I can't stand, honestly, I really can't. And I believe in being prepared. I always have my entire life. These prepping places, they don't talk about, almost none of them do, is sprouting seeds. They take up basically no room. They only require water and drainage. You pour water over them, depending on the seeds, 1 to 3 times a day. They grow up, they basically need almost no sunlight at all. Like an alfalfa sprouts, which I've grown endless amounts of alfalfa sprouts. And, they don't need sun until the very end, and that's only if you want to green them some. You know how small an alfalfa sprout seed is? It's nothing. A handful of alfalfa sprout seeds, a bag about the size of this apple, will make you so much alfalfa sprouts it's not even funny. And of course you need to store them in the cool and in the dark. Actually, long-term experimentation shows that there's no distinction on how the survivability is versus extreme cold versus cold after X number of years. They both appear to be very, very close people. So you need to freeze them. It's like, no, that's not true. They just need to be cool and dark. So you need to know storage and humidity issues regarding storing sprouting seeds. I have a lot of alfalfa sprout seeds. Also 2 mung bean seeds for sprouting seeds are incredible. You could grow it in your basement. You can grow it anywhere. You just need to pour water over it. So that's a huge consideration. Canned tomatoes. I hate to mention Costco again because Costco is we call it a wicked place. We'll just call it a wicked place. They actually have they're grown on the slopes of Mount Vesuvius. These huge, I think they're Roman tomatoes. I have a lot of them. They're the pear-shaped tomatoes. They're like $4.50. There's sauce in there, which you can use for spaghetti sauce, which is another thing you need to be storing. Dried spaghetti, lots and lots of dried spaghetti. You'll say, that's carbs. Yes, it is. And survival is about survival, not necessarily eating, a tofu salad and German seltzer water. It's about survival. Carbs. Carbs keep you alive. Anyway, they're $4.50 or these huge cans. I mean, even if you despise Costco, and I pretty much do, and certainly so, Sam's Club, the fact that you can get these huge cans for next to nothing, and they don't expire for a really, really long time. And those tomatoes really, really taste good, too. It's one of the hidden secrets of Costco. The other hidden secret, and once again, I don't drink, is alcohol in me. No, I mean, not that having a glass of wine is not good for you. The vodka, the 1.75 liters of vodka for $11.50. I think they're $11.89, depends on where you're at, of course, and your alcohol taxes. Of course, you need to be of the legal age to buy that stuff, obviously. It doesn't go without saying. Nuts, walnuts especially. Walnuts are really healthy. Store away in the freezer for a long time. I have recently acquired a huge freezer down in the basement. Of course, if the power goes out, the freezer's going to go out. I know that fact, obviously so, but keep them lasting longer until the power does, if it does, potentially go out. I really don't like peanut butter, but there is this great peanut butter that's dried. It's basically powder. Even though it has an expiration date on it, it will last forever, essentially, kept in a cool, dry place. It literally looks like a jar of powder. It has a really unusual yet pleasant taste, and you can find it. I forget the name of the brand, but you've seen it. They're big, big jars like this, powdered peanut butter. I buy almond butter and sunflower butter. I just got a ton of sunflower butter today and a lot of cashew butter. Cashew butter is radically expensive, honestly, unfortunately. Jerky, I'm making my own jerky. Oats. Oats don't, even under ideal conditions, don't keep that super long. Tons of dried pasta, tons of dried beans and lentil. I'm no fan of rice, but I can eat basmati rice. You can't store rice that long either. Eventually, the little weevils and things will start to form, and of course, you could wash them out of there. It grosses people out, but in case of survival, the rice is still good. So rice, consider, since rice is so cheap, to get the good rice, not the really, really cheap stuff, like good basmati rice. I have an Indian grocery store not far from me, and I get huge bags of basmati rice. Honey is the number one thing. Honey, it needs to be raw honey. Honey is better than Neosporin on a cut. In fact, honey has like a gazillion uses. It will technically purify water. You have to wait for it to sit a few days. That's due to the antimicrobial nature of raw honey. Raw honey is the only food on earth that never, ever, 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 ever goes bad. Never, ever. Literally. They actually found honey in King Tut's tomb, and even though it was dehydrated, you know, some scientists, they rehydrated it, and they were eating the honey. The honey is thousands of years old, and it was still edible. Perfect example. The only food that never goes bad. Buy jugs of raw honey. You know, it's good for cuts. It's good for purifying water. Honey has so many uses. It's not even funny. Tons and tons of uses. But these, I probably have, let's see, 1 month, I've got 1 month of like 54 days. I got like 400 or 500 pouches of this stuff. Like I said, you get a box of 6, depending on what flavor you buy. A box of 6, you could buy them individually, of course, too. Box of 6, between 55 to 65 bucks, depending on the meal. They have mashed potato with chicken fillet, freeze-dried, dehydrated. My favorite is lasagna, either that or biscuits and gravy. But they taste really, really good. It's not like, well, it's survival food, it's going to keep me alive. That's what MREs are, and they're garbage, and they're filth, and, you know, nobody I know with a half a brain likes MREs. These don't cost that much more. They last 30 years, and this itself is actually money. Let me tell you, things that are worth money in a SHTF, this stuff. Yeah. Vodka. Honey. There's one other thing made out of copper and brass that I won't mention that is itself also money. They come in various different sizes. Let you figure that one out. That's actually the number one thing that it is itself money outside of gold and silver. In dire situations, gold and silver are intangible. It's like, yeah, that's nice. Gold is, no, food, water filtration. And you got water filtration, you know, go down to the creek, get all the fresh, drinkable, clean water you want. Water filter, and the filters, the replacement filters for it. And remember, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. Redundancy is God. I said that before countless times. Redundancy is God. So a lot of people ask me to make this video. That's what I have stored up. I have 6 months, or actually a little over 6 months myself, and I have stuff in my cabin. I'm working hardcore on dehydration. I got banana chips and Ziplocs, but these taste really good too. No sugar added. They're kind of ugly and brown, right? And I know you could add lemon juice to make them yellow, but it doesn't change anything about what they are. They don't last longer that way. So who cares if they're brown instead of yellow? They taste great. You know, can't smell them through the jar. I don't know why I was sniffing the jar there for a second, but anyway, this is my recommendation for stuff to keep and prepare yourself, because when you're independent and you don't rely on other people, that just makes life better. You know, it just does. You know, you don't want to be running around like a chicken with your, you know, running around in a circle like a headless chicken, you know, when and if situations hit. You just don't do that. There's not a single intelligent person on this earth that can disagree with being prepared for contingencies. And I've never seen in my lifetime or heard it, you know, other than various times in history where people are more recommended to prepare themselves than they are right now. You just can't think of one. Nope, can't think of one. Can you? World War II, yeah, obviously so, you know, when they rolled into Paris, you know, various times, but yeah, now is the time. So, thanks so much for watching. Goodbye. Oh, I forgot to mention, skills. The one thing, skills. Before ending this video, sorry about that, there's an addendum. I'll edit that out of this video. Skills. When you know how to make things and do things and fix things, that itself is also money. I have another super, super expensive sewing machine coming in. It's radically expensive. It basically costs 3,000 bucks. I can make my own clothing. I could make a lot of stuff. I just got done making this for somebody. This is a wallet completely made by me and on my sewing machine. I can make my own pants and shirts. I can make backpacks. I can make a lot of stuff. Yeah. And the reason why I have emergency power and solar cells and lots of lead-acid batteries is that, I could run my sewing machine to make stuff. I've got lots and lots and lots of rolls of leather laying around, too. Probably about 100 rolls of leather laying around. I can make clothing, backpacks. I can make, if need be, I could even make leather bed sheets. It'd be one expensive bed sheet, but I could make it. So skills are so, so important. This is the intangible thing. Keep learning how to do things and make things because skills are valuable, yeah? There's a reason why plumbers and electricians are paid a lot of money. Skills are always valuable. It's like, that guy knows how to make myself a pair of pants. What can I trade you for that? Also, too, makes you feel like a better person. Everybody that has skills and know how to do things, they always feel better about themselves because they have the skills that they don't have to rely on other people for things. It's just the inalienable fact of human nature. Thanks. Goodbye.